After I transferred to an elite high school, everyone was wary of me. The top student thinks I'll lead him astray, while the school bully says I'm trying to get too big for my britches. Even the young master of the Jiang family whom I had once saved was convinced that I had ulterior motives. And so, I was bullied and tormented, and met a tragic and humiliating death in the pitch-black school building. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I transferred schools. As I walked into the school building, I suddenly started shivering. Perhaps it was the thrill of returning to a familiar place that stirred my memories. As I looked at the hallway beneath my feet, I recalled the sensation of being dragged along it. Clothes and strands of hair fell from me along the way. I was cold and in pain, and I couldn't stop shivering. But I couldn't shake off the memory of those rough hands, nor the sticky liquid and the sensation. I rolled my eyes and could still see the paper that had been trampled and crushed. The white fabric was stained and worn down beyond recognition. That's my admission ticket, and it's also the future I'm about to embark on. But just as I was about to cross the finish line, a sharp guillotine blade suddenly came down and ruthlessly sliced me to pieces. I won't rest in peace. It wasn't until light filled my eyes once more that a voice pulled me back to the present. The boy in the gray sweater turned his head toward me, his expression cold. "The classroom is on the 3rd floor. Follow me." Thank God. I stood there, dumbfounded. As tears began to fall, the boy Guzinhao was startled. "What's wrong?" I blinked. The wind slipped through the crack in the window, ruffling my hair and making it stick to the corners of my eyes. Seeing this, Guzinhao raised his hand. He has OCD and wants to brush it down for me. In my previous life, I didn't know what was coming, so I didn't get out of the way. He once helped me tuck away the stray strands of hair at my temples and smooth out my rumpled collar. I thought that was a sign of friendliness, so I saved up my lunch money for several days, carefully found out what he liked, and gave him a notebook. My gratitude is woven into the title page. As it turned out, Guzinhao took it in his hand and tore it to shreds right in front of the whole class. A top student, looking down on everyone else, said with a tone of disgust, "Chenju, please don't let these cheap, dirty thoughts distract me from my studies." He said, "Your unkempt appearance is annoying. It makes me feel sick." With that, he turned and walked away. I was left standing there, my face flushed, overcome with embarrassment and shame. Guzinhou's words changed the way I saw myself. It turned me from a new, poor transfer student into a delusional, overconfident groupie. As I saw his fingertips getting closer and closer, I suddenly dodged out of the way. The long ponytail, swaying back and forth, lashed against the back of Guzinhou's hand. Seeing the look of obvious surprise on his face, I slowly began to speak. "Don't touch me, your hands are dirty." Guzinhou once directed a promotional video for Mingyu. A screenshot of someone writing with a pen has gone viral, sending hand control enthusiasts into a frenzy. But now, it's covered in dust and ink, making it stand out jarringly. Satisfied to see his expression suddenly change dramatically, I continued, "Do you want to wipe it off? I have some wet wipes." His fragile pride had barely been wounded when he was given a way out. Guzinhou raised his eyes subtly and met my naturally impassive expression. Only then did he accept it with a sense of relief. "Ahoo. Thanks." Still just as narcissistic and arrogant as ever, I lowered my head to rummage through the items, hiding the mocking look in my eyes. In my previous life, Guzinhou was extremely wary of me. He interprets every normal interaction as me having ulterior motives. If you want to frame someone, you'll always find a reason. In that case, I might as well just admit it. It's a good opportunity to see if his heart is as stubborn as his mouth. I tore open the tissue package and handed it to Guzinhou. "I should be the one thanking you. If you hadn't helped me carry the books, they wouldn't have gotten dirty. Here." Mingyu is a private Shulon elite high school where even the textbooks are different from those at other schools. Not to mention the huge pile of other random supplementary materials. I told Guzinhou that my previous school had suddenly closed down, and everyone was running around in a panic. Some people even took the opportunity to drop out. If it weren't for my good college entrance exam scores, Mingyu wouldn't have taken me in on her own initiative. It's not easy to maintain my status as a student. So I really cherish this opportunity and I'm determined to work hard. Upon hearing this, Gu Xinzhou was clearly moved. If there's anything you're not used to, I can help. No. Thank you. I interrupted him and, while I was at it, slipped the used wet wipe back into the package. Then she looked up and flashed her first smile of the day. I won't bother you then. Gu Xinzhou suddenly widened his eyes. I didn't miss the faint blush on the tips of his ears. Unlike the cramped and stuffy classrooms in ordinary high schools, every classroom here is spacious and bright, just like their future. I stood on stage, under the scrutiny of all kinds of gazes. Curious, indifferent, fearful, wait, fear. I found the source of that gaze and got a clear look at the other person's face. Jiang Ruyan, the apple of the Jiang family's eye, the school's most sought-after beauty. What's more, in my previous life, I was the wronged victim of that tragic bullying experience. On the surface, she always seemed to be in a difficult position, pleading on my behalf. Privately, however, they were the ones who could least tolerate my presence. Jiang Ruyan once scratched my face and traced a pattern on my wrist with a craft knife. She was completely out of her mind, warning me not to even think about taking everything away from her. Gu Xinzhou is mine, Pei Si is mine, and all the Jiang family's affection is mine. Qinzhu, you shouldn't be here. As she spoke, the blade was pointed at herself. Blood gushed out. And as she faced the crowd that had arrived so late, she began to cry, her tears a mix of restraint and hurt. It wasn't Qinzhu accidentally hurt myself. In a situation like this, no one would ever believe that. And so, I went from being a delusional, overconfident, love-struck fool to a ruthless, vicious villain who deserved to be punished. Given how scheming Jiang Ruyan is, why would she be afraid of me when we first met? Could it be that she's been reborn? 2. I was assigned to sit next to Jiang Ruyan, just like in my previous life. On the surface, Jiang Ruyan was warm and friendly, but she couldn't hide the evasion and panic in her eyes. This made me abandon the thought I'd just had. Yet I couldn't help but feel puzzled. I always thought that in her previous life, she had it in for me because she was upset that I had stolen her limelight. Whether it's grades or looks, I happened to be just a little taller than her. That's why she holds a grudge against me. But now, when nothing has even started yet, Jiang Ruyan is actually afraid of me. This means she had known me for a long time, and the terrible bullying I endured in my previous life was all part of her long-planned scheme. As the saying goes, it's easy to dodge a shot fired in the open, but hard to guard against a hidden arrow. I need a chance to test her. As it happened, the school was organizing an extracurricular activity, and Jiang Ruyan was in charge of tallying the number of participants. She asked me last, Qinzhu, are you going? Before I could answer, Li Luo, the girl sitting behind me, tapped me with her pen. We're going to the aquarium. You're definitely going to love it. Without that troublemaker Gu Xinzhou causing trouble, I get along pretty well with my classmates. Seeing this, Jiang Ruyan reached out to stop him. Stop fooling around, that's rude. Xiao Zhu won't mind, will she? Li Luo gave me a wink, so naturally I overlooked the displeasure on Jiang Ruyan's face. Fortunately, she was good at hiding her emotions, and she turned to look at me and said, Qinzhu, if you want to go, just let me know, and I'll pay the registration fee for you. It didn't break any rules, and it took my situation into account. That's a very thoughtful suggestion. In my previous life, I was so touched by her gesture that I agreed on the spot. As a result, Jiang Ruyan deliberately hid the event funds and then claimed they had been lost. She looked at me as if she wanted to say something but held back, then said with a sense of grievance that it was all her fault. Jiang Ruyan hung her head and wept. It was my carelessness. I'll make it up to you all. Please forgive me. None of the young masters and young ladies here are short on money. I'm the only one who's poor. Naturally, I was the only suspect. I'll never forget those cold, mocking stares on the bus. So in this life, I won't let myself end up in that situation again. Thank you. Jiang Rian smiled. And I smiled too. But he turned her down. I'm not going. Why not go? At the corner of the staircase. I bumped into Gu Xinzhou. He asked again. As for the registration fee, I can help you with that. No. Thanks. I didn't expect him to be curious too, but it's not a bad thing. I have to work that day, so I can't take the day off. Gu Xinzhou froze. Isn't the school's grant enough? Well, then I could. No, really. I don't need it. I turned down his offer of help once again. I'm covering for a coworker, so I really can't make it. Gu Xinzhou suddenly realized this, and the look in his eyes softened once again. Just one more to go, I silently told myself. 3 strikes and you're out. People always have a tendency to court trouble. They're endlessly curious about things they can't quite grasp or understand, and then go to great lengths to get closer to them. I told him that I really love the ocean, but it's just a shame. Sure enough, Gu Xinzhou spoke up. Then next time we get the chance, we can go together. We'll see. I'm going to head out now. He turned around without hesitation. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Chenju, Gu Xinzhou called out to me. I'll bring you back some souvenirs. Thank you. This time, it was a genuine smile. On the day of the tour, I was wearing my waitress uniform and kept glancing at my watch. Around 4 or 5 o'clock, we arrived. Footsteps and voices grew louder as they approached. No doubt about it, it's one of Mingyu's students. They had dinner here in their previous life, and that hasn't changed. One of the reasons I came here was to test Jiang Rian. When they caught each other's eyes in the private room, everyone froze. Chenju, is that why you didn't come, because you had to work? That's right, I admitted readily. Just tell me what you want to eat, and I'll order for you. Li Luo was the first to snap out of it. She rushed over and hugged me. Wah, Xiaozhu. You've worked so hard, should we count a few more for your sales target? That doesn't count, I said, pouting and pretending to cry. All I have to do is wash the dishes. Boo-hoo. My appearance amused the other students, and some of them complimented me. Xinzhu is so refreshing and down-to-earth, it's not awkward at all to be around her. Exactly. I heard she was an orphan, so I'm always afraid of accidentally upsetting her. Again, it could really be deadly. Gu Xinzhou joined the discussion. She never causes trouble for others. Amid the astonished stares of the crowd, Gu Xinzhou offered a thought-provoking assessment. He said, Xinzhu, that's great. Whoa, something's going on here. Amid a cacophony of exaggerated shouts and cheers, the teenagers' thirst for gossip was in full swing. Only Jiang Rian's face turned ashen. She barely managed to keep a straight face as she asked me where the restroom was. I pointed in that direction and said to her, that works out perfectly, let's go together. Okay. I set my fanny pack down on the sink and then stepped into the stall. When I came out, Jiang Rian was already gone. Before long, the foreman's voice came over the walkie-talkie in a grave tone. A customer has lost something, everyone. Come inside. I couldn't help but laugh. Miss Jiang, you really are nothing but a bore. Don't worry, we'll definitely find it. A few girls were comforting Jiang Rian. She covered her face, and her voice was broken and halting. It was clear she was crying. That's the bracelet my mother gave me. It was still there just a moment ago, but then suddenly, sniff, sniff, sniff. She had already thought out what to say, and within a few sentences, she steered the conversation toward me. Chenju, did you happen to see my bracelet when I went to the restroom a little while ago? Jiang Rian asked through her sobs, and I nodded. Yes. You said you were afraid it would get wet, so you took it off. So what happened next? Don't you know what happened after that? But I didn't say anything. I just shook my head and clutched the bag at my waist. Jiang Rian's expression turned stern. Chenju, may I take a look inside your bag? As soon as those words were spoken, the others immediately sensed something was amiss. Ruyin. I don't think this is a good idea. The manager frowned as well. Sir, Are you accusing our staff of something? Jiang Rian bit her lower lip and replied softly. This is something very important to me, and I hope I can find it. She paused for a moment, then added. As long as you give it back to me, I won't hold it against you. No one could put up with being suspected and insulted like that. The other waiters immediately searched their pockets and waist pouches to prove their innocence. Only I hesitated and didn't move. Chinju. Why aren't you turning the page? Jiang Rian pressed in on me, and I lowered my head to avoid her gaze. You're feeling guilty. I didn't. Then why won't you turn it over? And why won't you even look at me? Did you steal my bracelet? My evasive behavior only made Jiang Rian even more certain. She snatched my fanny pack and flipped her wrist, preparing to empty its contents. Right now this is exactly what I've been waiting for. Jiang Rian. You're not the only one who knows how to play the sacrifice card. I narrowed my eyes, and my heart began to race. As long as she pours it out. As long as. Stop. A slightly hurried male voice rang out. The school bully, Pei Si, rushed in from the doorway and snatched the bag from Jiang Rian's hands. He stretched out his arm to shield me and said in a deep voice, Chinju, don't be afraid. I'll protect you. No. How did he just pop up like that? Si. What are you doing here? Jiang Rian asked in disbelief. The others were also puzzled. Gu Xinzhou was the first to step forward, furrowing his brow as he said, What did you mean by what you just said? But Pei Si ignored them all and turned around to hand the money pouch back to me. Here. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I won't let anyone treat you unfairly. His tone was so gentle yet firm, something I'd never heard before, that I couldn't help but be taken aback. Pei Si, the school bully, is Jiang Rian's childhood friend. In my past life, he never even gave me a second glance. What's more, after word got out about me and Gu Xinzhou, they scoffed and called me a delusional fool. A cuckoo wants to perch on a branch. What a pipe dream. TSK. He comes from a prominent family, is outgoing and fun-loving, and is the leader among the boys, with him making sarcastic remarks. It was only natural that his followers would imitate him. So, I was tricked into going to the equipment room, where I bumped into a bucket of dirty water that had been set up there beforehand. In early winter, I was soaked to the bone and shivering uncontrollably from the cold. Just then, Pei Si arrived. Upon seeing this, he merely raised an eyebrow. The basketball spun back and forth between his palm and fingers, then with a thud slammed into the wall behind me, grazing the side of my face. The impact was quite strong, and the pain in my back made me curl up involuntarily. Pei Si exclaimed, That's really impressive. He smiled briefly, then turned and walked away. He was a bystander during my years of suffering, aiding and abetting the tyrant through his silence and turning a blind eye. But now, he's actually saying he'll protect Marit in front of Jiang Rian. Has Pei Si lost his mind? I wasn't the only one who was shocked. Jiang Rian was the one who reacted the most strongly. It has to be her. Si. Do you know what you're saying? Listen, his voice is trembling. Jiang Rian's face was pale, and her eyes were brimming with tears. Pei Si didn't even glance at her, making baseless accusations without any evidence. You've really let me down. Also, I don't think Xinzhu is that kind of person. She wouldn't even bother doing something like that. How can there be no evidence? How could Jiang Rian just let this slide? She pointed to the surveillance footage that had been urgently retrieved. Doesn't this count? The footage shows the entrance to the restroom. Based on the timeline, Jiang Rian and I went in together, and she left before I did. I checked the restroom, it wasn't there. Jiang Rian paused for a moment. And no one has gone in there since we left. Jiang Rian looked at me, misunderstood yet still resolute. She asked, Chinju, if you really didn't take it, why won't you let me search your bag? It's not that I'm afraid, I am just waiting for you to grab it. Besides, if Pei Si hadn't shown up out of nowhere, it would have been over by now. Still, it's not a bad time. Though, I lowered my head and sighed. Go ahead and watch it if you want. As the zipper slid open, The items inside were revealed one by one. There were keys and ID, as well as tissues and a small bag. Jiang hurriedly took it and couldn't wait to open it. "What is this?" Her face was blank as she asked in disbelief. Everyone was curious and came over to take a look, then froze in surprise. Inside the simple, hand-sewn cloth bag were my sanitary pads and painkillers. Oh, so that's what it was. I turned my head and replied softly. Sorry. I was a little startled just now, so I hesitated. "I'm really sorry." A sincere tone, coupled with a slightly flushed face. He had proven his innocence, yet felt no bitter resentment at having been wrongly accused. That was definitely a game winner. One of the girls was the first to speak up. "There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Xiao Zhu, don't be shy, we re all the same." "Exactly. But this brand of pads isn't very good. I'll bring you some next time." "You're still taking painkillers, are you in a lot of pain? Does it still hurt?" Her question was answered by the surveillance footage the manager was holding, which happened to show the moment I walked out of the restroom. The figure in uniform paused for a moment, then bent over and stopped. About half a minute later, he forced himself to stand up again and kept walking. "Woo-woo. Xiao Zhu, sit down quickly. Someone, bring some hot water." The visitor was Gu Xinzhou. He had wrapped a handkerchief around the outside of the glass. "Here you go." I was flattered and quickly waved my hands, saying, "It's not that serious, I am fine now." Even Pacey took off his coat and tried to put it on me. You make sure to stay warm." Everything was so friendly and harmonious. Only Jiang eyes widened in fury. She turned the small bag over and over several times, muttering to herself, "No way. How could this happen? You definitely put it in, right? I've been waiting for you to put it in." Fighting the urge to laugh, I whispered soothingly, "Ruyin, don't worry, why don't you think about it some more?" Li Luo chimed in, "That's right. Ruyin, check yourself too, maybe you left it somewhere." Jiang was so flustered she actually started feeling around in her pockets. Then, suddenly, everything froze. "What's wrong?" The person next to her thought something was wrong, quickly pulled his hand away, and fell silent as well. The gold bracelet sparkled in the light. It looks like the winding trail of a shooting star. I shook the coat off my shoulders, stood up, and walked over to her. In my previous life, after I was questioned under suspicion, Jiang slowly pulled out the event funds she had hidden away and said to me with a surprised look, "Great news. Qin Ziwei found the money." So, while I was serving the food and pouring the drinks a moment ago, I quietly slipped the bracelet back into her pocket. It's only proper to reciprocate. I finally couldn't hold back my smile any longer and openly congratulated her. "That's great." We found the bracelet when the bus carrying Mingyu's students left. I went out to see them off. The night breeze blew my bangs aside as I replayed the events in my mind. The conclusion was that Jiang was indeed hiding something. She must still be hiding something from me. As for Gu Xinzhou, I stopped in my tracks. He, who was walking at the back of the group, also stopped and asked me how I was feeling. "Are you still feeling sick? Are you really okay?" I smiled helplessly. "I'm not that delicate. You should still be careful not to catch a cold." He emphasized the second half of the sentence, his gaze fixed on the jacket draped over my shoulder. "It's still the one from Pacey." He shook it off me while we were inside, but as soon as we stepped outside, he put it back on me. Gu Xinzhou looked away. "I've already picked out the souvenirs. See you on Monday." He left me no room to refuse. He walked away briskly, as if he couldn't wait. "You're in such a hurry to send yourself on your way." I had no choice but to put on a smile and wave goodbye. "Okay. Bye." I went back to the locker room to change out of my uniform and head home. The cabinet door opened and closed, and another figure appeared in the mirror. Pacey stood behind me, his hand resting on my shoulder, and leaned in close. I felt a warm touch on my back, and I heard his voice. "I'm so glad you're still alive." Pacey brought his hands down, wrapped them around my waist, and tightened his grip. His breath seeped through my uniform shirt, sending a shiver down my spine. "Let go," I snapped at him, simultaneously lifting my foot and kicking him in the knee. Pacey let out a muffled groan and was forced to loosen his grip. As I turned around, I grabbed the collar of his shirt and flung him aside. Boom! A loud bang. He slammed into the metal closet behind him. Even though he was gritting his teeth in pain, Pacey still insisted. "I'm so happy to see Xiaoshu so full of energy." My response to him was a sharp slap across his face as I raised and brought my hand down. I gripped his jaw, forced his head to turn, and asked, "When did you get back?" Given this unusual turn of events, I can't think of any other explanation besides reincarnation. If something like this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. Upon hearing this, Pacey's eyes flickered. "So you're one of them?" 2. Nothing but nonsense. I had already guessed as much the moment he walked into the private room and said he was going to protect me. I just didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so I decided to let it go for now. Besides, his situation is different from Jiang Rian's. There's no need to beat around the bush. It's easier to be straightforward. He licked the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Aren't you curious why I'm here?" I gave a cold laugh and said nothing. Pacey lowered his eyes with feigned resignation and added, "I came back to protect you. You know." Smack. It was a reflex. I hit him again, for no other reason than that the had said those very words. "I'll protect you." In his previous life as well, under the starry sky, with the night wind howling, the man who used to be Pacey smiled nonchalantly. "Chinju, do you want to be with me?" Pacey is known as the school bully because he is the ringleader among this group of wealthy kids. The issue of multiple titles. From what I know of him, he's warm on the outside but cold on the inside. On the surface, they are carefree and unrestrained, but deep down, they are cold and arrogant. He and Jiang Rian have known each other since childhood, so they took it out on me in front of everyone. But behind her back, he was making advances toward me. Because I was being bullied, my grades dropped significantly, which led the school administration at Mingyu to be dissatisfied with my performance and withdraw my financial aid. I had no choice but to take a part-time job during my vacation, while running errands and delivering food. As luck would have it, I got an order from Pacey. After a brief moment of bewilderment, he was instantly filled with curiosity and amusement. I suddenly felt unwell, so I put down the milk tea I was holding and was about to leave. Pacey quickly noticed this. "Stop right there. Is there anything else?" He casually opened the package, even inserted a straw, and held it out to me. "Drink this. Otherwise, I'll give you a bad review." With the straw pressed against my lower lip, Pacey remained as patient as ever, and the threat worked. I opened my mouth and took a big, deep drag. "Ha ha ha." Pacey laughed happily, met my gaze which was brimming with suppressed anger, and withdrew his hand with a satisfied look. Ever since then, I've been getting orders from him all the time. Every time, he would use all sorts of threats to keep me there and toy with me, until I couldn't take it anymore and quit to find a new job. But he actually managed to find me. "Chinju, you're really something." In a back alley, Pacey blocked my path as I was about to take out the trash. He reached out and smiled, saying, "If you're with me, they won't bully you." He seemed quite confident that I would say yes. So, taking advantage of the starry night, he uttered a heartfelt vow. "From now on, I'll protect you." Okay. I took a deep breath, and the trash can in my hand flew out of my control, accompanied by a resounding, forceful word. "Get lost." Time overlapped, and Pacey still tilted his head to the side. But this time, his way of thinking was clearly even more unconventional than in his previous life. He asked, "Do you want to get back at them?" Pacey broke free from my grip and put some distance between us. I loosened my grip on my wrist. "What? Are you trying to stop me?" I just wanted to say, "You've finally learned to stand up for yourself," Pacey said with a smile. "I'll help you. Once this is over, let's be together." "You're crazy." Although on the surface everything seemed calm, Pei Si's appearance still brought back many memories for me, and I dreamed of the past. Those dark, viscous fragments of memory, Pei Si said. I finally fought back. In a tone of relief, he praised my current self for being brave, but looked down on my past self for being cowardly. But he didn't know that I had fought back. No one is naturally resigned to their fate. It's just that the enemy outnumbers us. And the gap is too great. It's just a waste of time. All my desperate, heart-wrenching screams were, in their eyes, nothing more than a source of ridicule. On Monday, Yi Xiang arrived before Gu Xinzhou. The surprise monthly exam announced by the teacher brought him to a halt. I could feel his gaze lingering on me, so I turned around and gave him a smile. It's not time yet. We have to keep up the act. Gu Xinzhou looked away, feeling a little flustered. One thing led to another. The school hosted the citywide speech contest for middle school students and is also preparing to film a new promotional video. With the school's anniversary coming up and all the perks piling up, we've got to throw a huge celebration. The number of participants has increased significantly, and outstanding graduates have returned to lend a hand. I am among the nominees as well. However, there is some controversy. In previous years, the candidates were Gu Xinzhou and Jiang because they had the best grades. But this time, I'm here, undoubtedly the top student in the grade. Chenju. After careful consideration, the school has decided to have you participate as a representative of students from low-income families. The student representatives will still be Gu Xinzhou and Jiang. The teacher relayed the results of the discussion to me. After a moment's hesitation, he continued. Don't be discouraged. Everyone can see your grades and performance. But this time it's different. So, it's okay. I understand. I shook my head and smiled to show that I didn't mind. As long as I can go, that's all that matters. In my previous life, I should have been able to participate, too. However, due to my classmates' negative opinions and my declining grades, Mingyu was disappointed in me and felt I wasn't worthy. So she removed me as the representative for students from low-income families and even decided to stop admitting such students from then on. I can't let this happen again. That's why I absolutely have to attend. Are you nervous? Suddenly, a concerned voice came from beside him. It was Gu Xinzhou. We were all wearing the new uniforms Mingyu had made as we headed to the studio. Gu Xinzhou opened his palm, revealing a piece of candy. He said, "Here. It's for you. Don't worry, it's really easy to use." I paused for a moment, then took it. Thank you. He didn't know that I had no intention of filming at all. Instead, from this point on, nothing will follow the same path as in my previous life. It's not that I'm nervous. Rather, it's a mix of fear of the unknown and anticipation. When I walked in, the outstanding graduate was already getting ready, standing beside the luxurious, exquisite piano. The man's posture was tall and natural. His custom-tailored suit not only fit him perfectly but also brought out his innate air of elegance. The younger students behind him couldn't help but let out a gasp of admiration. Even Gu Xinzhou was taken aback for a moment. There was only one person who remained unaffected. Big brother. Jiang ran over in small steps and threw herself into the person's outstretched arms. Brother, why didn't you tell me? I have a surprise for you. Are you happy? I'm happy. Jiang nodded vigorously and smiled radiantly. The others snapped out of their daze and began to speak one after another. Ruyin, is this your brother? Oh my gosh. Senior, your brother is actually Jiang Yanji. Wow. I'm so jealous. I wish I had a genius pianist as my big brother. Wow. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yanji curved the corners of his mouth and, with the gentlest and most courteous demeanor, acknowledged his identity. Hello, everyone. I'm Jiang Yanji, Ru Yin's older brother. He glanced down at Jiang Ruyin, and his affection for her was plain to see. My steps faltered slightly, and I didn't dare look at them. I just couldn't help myself. I silently repeated the name. Jiang Yanji. In my past life, I had seen him, too. Since my spot was revoked, I couldn't even get into the auditorium for the school anniversary gala. I ran into him while wandering around. Jiang Yanji had borrowed a school uniform from somewhere, wearing a mask and with his bangs hanging down. He looked every bit the student. I'm sorry. I apologized flusteredly, and he waved his hand, saying it was okay. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself anywhere? Jiang Yanji was clearly more concerned about Muham he had knocked over and crouched down, asking with concern. I was taken aback by this friendly and kind attitude and immediately jumped to my feet. Then I regretted it. I guess it's just too rare. There really wasn't a trace of gloom in his smile when he found out I didn't have a pass. He even gave me his own. I'll be performing on stage. I hope you'll come listen. Jiang Yanji blinked. Let's just consider this compensation for knocking you over. I admit that my heart skipped a beat in that moment. So I went there full of anticipation, even if I were stopped. Or even if I had to confront Jiang Yanji to confirm the truth, I wouldn't be afraid. As a result. So you're Shinju, Jiang Yanji sighed. I gave it to her. Let her in. But I hope you can promise me one thing. Jiang Yanji looked at me with a serious expression. Please keep yourself in check from now on. Don't bother Inin anymore and make her sad. It was just a moment. I could no longer make out his face. Gu Xinzhou's voice brought me back to the present. He asked me what was wrong and if I was feeling sick. I'm sick of this. He's always keeping an eye on me to make sure I get the care I need right away. But I felt as if I were trapped in a spider's web, and I regretted not having gotten rid of this trouble sooner. Shinju. Gu Xinzhou was still waiting for my answer, but I ignored him and kept walking. For the group photos, Jiang Yanji and I were in one group, and Gu Xinzhou and Jiang Rian were in the other. This was the school's arrangement, but it was not accepted. Jiang Yanji smiled politely. Let's switch it up. I'll take a photo with Inin. He even sensed what Gu Xinzhou was thinking. After a brief glance, he continued. Besides, Gu and Shin probably get along better. It was a thoughtful gesture. At least 3 people smiled at the suggestion. I laughed too. I disagree. Why? Jiang Rian's eyes darted around, and she immediately launched into her act. Xiao Zhu. I finally got to see my brother. Could you just do us a favor? Okay. Her tone was friendly and charming, and there was nothing wrong with what she said. Jiang Yanji also spoke up, asking casually. The rule is to go with a student representative, and that happens to be Inin. Right. You're wrong, I said, taking a couple of steps forward and shaking off Gu Xinzhou's hand as he tugged at the hem of my shirt. I'm the student representative. Ru Yin's just the alternate. Gu Xinzhou had no choice but to quietly stop me. Shinju. Don't say anymore. I frowned in surprise. It's not like I cheated my way to first place. Why can't I say that? I was hinting at something, and I'm sure Jiang Rian picked up on it. Her expression froze, but she couldn't let it show. So she had no choice but to swallow her anger. The teacher who was accompanying us also stepped in to confirm. Student Shin is both a representative of students from low-income families and a student representative, because these roles overlap. The school had no choice but to ask student Jiang to fill in, which is why she was included in the group photo. Jiang Yanji silently met my gaze, nodded in agreement, and then comforted Jiang Rian. There's nothing we can do. Inin. I'm sorry you have to go through this. Big brother. I must be a little crazy. It makes me feel uneasy, but I still can't help but watch it. Once the lights were in place, I stood next to Jiang Yan, just as I'd hoped. A little closer. The photographer gave the instruction. And before I could even react, I was startled by his face, which had suddenly loomed large. Be careful. Jiang Yanji grabbed my hand, and soon we were in an intimate pose with his arm around my shoulders. The photographer praised us with great satisfaction, and Jiang Yanji, smiling, whispered in my ear, "Don't you dare bully Inin again, or else." He paused for a moment, adjusting his movements as instructed. When he turned his back on everyone, his expression instantly turned cold, a silent threat. Once again, in that split second, I felt nothing but anger and a sense of injustice. So I grabbed his arm as he tried to pull it away and leaned in without hesitation. Jiang Yanji's eyes widened, I replied softly. No. During a break in filming, Jiang treated everyone to bubble tea. I sat down in the corner, sipping my drink now and then, wondering if I'd lost my cool a little earlier. Even I can't explain why. Whenever I run into Jiang, I make an exception. He always makes me want to get close to him. But I know for sure that it's not because I like him. Just as I was agonizing over it, the person in question showed up. With no one around, Jiang tore off his gentle, elegant facade and looked down at me from above. Stay away from Yin. Don't make me say it a third time. Jiang glanced at the milk tea in my hand and snorted coldly. No matter how high a sparrow flies, it will never be a phoenix. I advise you not to waste your energy. That sounds familiar, but I didn't expect him to say it. This eldest son of the Jiang family, who is said to be exceptionally talented in music and to have a rare, gentle, and courteous disposition, how could he behave this way behind closed doors? I tilted my head, pretending not to understand. Jiang frowned, his anger plain to see. You say you're a good student, haven't you ever heard of Dongshi's imitation? Wait a minute now, I'm really a bit confused. Are you saying I'm a lot like Jiang? You copy her in everything, even the flavor of your bubble tea has to be the same, and you still say you don't have any ulterior motives. Jiang had run out of patience. He left with a parting remark. Take care of yourself, and turned to walk away. But I stood there, lost in thought. In both this life and the one before, I never felt that I bore any resemblance to Jiang, but when I heard this today, it was like a wake-up call. Something flashed through my mind. I looked up at Jiang, who was standing not far away, and a plan came to mind. Perhaps I'll soon be able to get to the bottom of it and find out. What exactly is Jiang afraid of? The end of the year is approaching, and final exams are just around the corner. The atmosphere of studying quickly spread, and even Pacey started spending more time in the classroom. But instead of studying, he was causing trouble. Xiaozhu, how do you solve this problem? Pacey placed the piece of paper he was holding on top of my textbook and asked in a low voice. I glanced at it. A sentence was written in a sweeping, flowing script. I fell for a "Help me out. Get lost. Don't be mad, I just want to be with you." Pacey propped his cheek with his hand and said with a smile. It seems to have gotten a little quieter around Xiaozhu. I really like it. Upon hearing this, the pen in my hand paused. He was right, there was no one sitting in front of or behind me. Ever since the promotional video came out, word has spread about my tough attitude on set, and some people have come to see me as overbearing. I didn't argue or explain. On top of that, Jiang was exaggerating the situation and playing the victim. Jiang official promotional video for Fang Minju, every word and every sentence is full of subtle innuendo that I just don't get. My reputation among my classmates gradually changed, and naturally, I had fewer close friends. Come here for a second. Jiang called out in this direction. Pacey raised an eyebrow and spoke as he stood up. Xiaozhu, aren't you going to keep me here? Get lost. I'm actually quite happy to have some peace and quiet. However, when I met Jiang's smug gaze, I couldn't help but look down, feeling dejected, and within a few minutes, I ran out of the classroom. I just didn't expect that before I could even catch my breath, I'd already got someone following me. Gu Xinzhou strode quickly around to stand in front of me, blocking my path at the bottom of the stairs. Qinzhu. Wait a minute. He was breathing a little heavily. I need to talk to you. I stopped in my tracks and nodded. Okay. It's finally your turn. Gu Xinzhou handed me the souvenir from the aquarium. Here. This is for you. He reached out and took a delicate pendant made of liuma. A silvery white fish swam up from the deep blue glitter. Gu Xinzhou asked, somewhat nervously. So, what do you think? Do you like it? I watched for a while, until the glitter had settled and the little fish had washed ashore, before I spoke up and replied, how beautiful. His sincere praise filled him with delight. Clearing his throat discreetly, Gu Xinzhou spoke again. Qinzhu, I like you. My gaze shifted from Gu Xinzhou's shy, nervous eyes to his bright red ears and his slightly trembling fingers. He said, "No matter what's going on around us, I know what kind of person you are. Will you be with me? I'll protect you." The young man's solemn vow offered him the greatest possible protection at that age. "It's what I've been waiting for. But it's not what I wanted. Gu Xinzhou, are you feeling sorry for me?" I knocked his hand away. And the little fish fell onto the floor. "What other people think has nothing to do with me. So please don't just assume on your own that I need protection." Gu Xinzhou looked dumbfounded. "What?" I continued. "I do have some feelings for you. But they're just those of classmates, nothing more. Final exams are coming up soon. And everyone is studying. Please don't bother me with these self-righteous gestures." At that point, I paused for a moment. When Gu Xinzhou had a chance, he explained dryly. "That's not what I meant." His eyebrows and the corners of his eyes were turned downward, and he looked utterly dejected. "But what does that have to do with me?" I took a step back and frowned. "We're from different worlds. You know how hard it was for me to come here to school. I can't afford to mess around. Gu, please stay away from me from now on. Goodbye." With that, he turned and walked away. It's still that familiar hallway. But the people have changed and everything has been turned upside down. Just as I turned the corner, another troublemaker showed up. Pacey leaned against the armrest and drawled, "Xiao Zhu, you're so heartless. Aren't you afraid of hurting his feelings? If you care so much, why don't you go comfort him?" I didn't hold back with my words. But Pacey didn't seem to mind. He used the handrail to jump down, landing right in front of me. "You know full well that you're the only one I care about." Pacey lifted a strand of my hair from my temple and tucked it behind my ear. His tone suggestive. "Whatever you want, I'll help you get it." "Really? Really?" I turned my head and nuzzled against the palm of his hand, then spoke as Pacey looked on with surprise. "I want Jiang Yinji." His face darkened instantly. "Ha ha ha." I laughed heartily. Time passes before you know it. I waited until the day Jiang Rian could no longer keep her composure. When we were cleaning the campus before the break, I was assigned to the playground, a place no one wanted to go. The ground, freshly covered with snow, was a vast expanse of white. I huddled inside my coat, sweeping slowly, when I heard creaking footsteps behind me. "It's so cold." I put down what I was holding and turned around, and saw Jiang Rian. She wasn't wearing her school jacket. Instead, she had on a light blue down jacket. Her chin was tucked into a creamy white scarf, and she smiled at me with her eyes crinkling. "Chinju, are you cold?" I didn't say anything. I just stared at her for a moment. There was no one around, just the howling cold wind. Jiang Rian gradually composed herself, and only then did I speak up. "It's been a long time. Aren't you going to come clean yet?" I put on an air of mystery. "I know everything. How much longer do you plan to keep this from me? Do you really want me to expose you myself?" "Shut up." Jiang Rian's expression suddenly changed, and she hurriedly interrupted me. She walked quickly over to me and lowered her voice. "You recognized me?" I nodded, still smiling but saying nothing. From this distance, I could see a thin sheen of sweat on Jiang Rian's forehead. In the middle of this freezing, snowy wasteland, she was actually feeling this guilty. Anyone with even a shred of common sense would realize that these few sentences of mine are full of holes. But she was too scared. I didn't even have to say a word. Just gazing at her quietly was enough to throw her off balance and make her spill the beans to me. "Xiao Zhu, I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to." She staggered and collapsed into a sitting position, as the snow fell thick and fast. Jiang Rian revealed the past she had kept hidden, word by word, sentence by sentence. They came crashing down on him. It left me bloodied and battered. I am an orphan, for as long as I can remember. It has been that not very large orphanage. I just thought of myself as an abandoned child, so I didn't care about my parents or relatives. But I never expected that wasn't actually the case. I can't believe I was actually abducted. On top of that, my family members have come to see me. It's just that someone took my place. Jiang Rian spoke through her tears, but I had no recollection of it. She said I fainted because I had a fever at the time and was taken to the hospital. When Mr. and Mrs. Jiang arrived, they saw only her. We're really close. You've told me about your life, and you've shown me your diary, Jiang Rian said, but you were taken away so long ago that they can't remember what you look like. So you stole everything from me and took my place. I picked up where he left off, my tone unnervingly calm. It's not stealing, Jiang Rian eagerly retorted. They miss their daughter so much it's so heartbreaking. I feel the same way. We just want a complete family so badly. Xiaozhu, you know, I was going to tell you this, but Mom and Dad have been so good to me. I've never felt this way before. Can you understand? As for how I understand it, I just think it's absurd. Jiang Rian said she planned to come clean when she grew up. But she never thought she'd see me again. She didn't mean to. I was just startled by your arrival. If we were suddenly exposed, Mom and Dad would be upset and Xiaozhu wouldn't want them to be upset. Would she? She explained her motives, saying that her plan was to drive me away and then come clean after graduation. I've been donating to the orphanage, and Mom and Dad have been helping out. So it's not like you haven't gotten anything. So, it's okay if you leave school for a while and come back when I'm ready, right? Xiaozhu is such a good student, she'll be just fine on her own. Jiang Rian covered her face and wept. But I can't do it. Without my mom and dad, and without my older brother, I won't be able to go on living. She suddenly stood up and stepped back, her face streaked with tears and looking completely distraught. I instinctively became alert. Stop. Behind it is the edge of the podium, which is quite high and has no railing. Jiang Rian grabbed my sleeve and pulled me forcefully toward her. At the same time, she cried out in desperation. Please, don't take them away from me. Xiaozhu, have mercy on me, won't you? Let me go. Seeing that we had reached the edge, I struggled to break free. A crowd was approaching from the distance, and a loud shout rang out. Chinzhu, calm down and let Yining go. Jiang Rian moved closer to me. It's time to wrap this up. Jiang Rian let go, closed her eyes, and fell backward. She said, don't even think about taking everything away from me. I see. I grabbed her scarf and yanked it with all my might. Using the ground for leverage, she spun around. Jiang Rian's startled face met mine, and then she floated upward. No, I'm the one falling. Before I lost consciousness, I was thinking, they really went all out with this ploy. Bang. Chinzhu, I think I'm familiar with this kind of pain. Every bone was screaming, and his flesh and tissue trembled uncontrollably. In my previous life, my exam admission ticket was thrown into the school building that Mingyu was planning to renovate. And when I went to look for it, I was kidnapped. Finally, drop it from a height. When I open my eyes again, I'll go back in time and start over. This time, too, I opened my eyes. And time continued to march on, oblivious as ever. There is no backflow. That really hurts. You're awake. An unfamiliar female voice spoke in a gentle tone. I slowly turned my head and met her gaze. Her eyes welled up with tears. Xiaozhu, I'm your mom. Jiang Rian's original intention was to use a ploy to make my words seem completely untrustworthy. But I was prepared. I recorded it simultaneously and sent it to Pei Si. As a result, the truth came to light. While I was in a coma, the Jiang family had a paternity test conducted, which confirmed that I am their daughter. Add to that the audio recording as evidence, and everything is laid bare. So they came to ask for my opinion. The Jiang family sent their most gentle and harmless member to talk to me. I looked at the woman's face and felt a sense of distance. My fleeting childhood memories have faded away along with my fever. Whenever I see her, all I can recall is the image of her with Jiang Rian at a parent-teacher conference in my past life. I can't muster even a shred of warmth. Xiaozhu, we'll reclaim you as soon as possible. As for Yining, you don't need to worry, we'll sever our ties with her, Jiang's mother said solemnly. We've been together for so many years. Just give mom some time to adjust and give yourself some time, too. The solution she offered was, as far as she understood, the thing I cared about most. Little did they know. I didn't care, but I can't say no. From the time I was reborn until now, nothing I've gotten has been what I wanted. But the future I want must be supported by these things. So, I chose Tobe Sensible. She nodded, smiled, and said softly, okay. No blame. No resentment. Neither sad nor surprised. It wasn't until Jiang's mother had left, reluctantly, that I began to break down. So that's how it is. I never would have guessed. Why is it like this? Why does it have to be this way? Tears rolled down uncontrollably. As if fate were playing a cruel joke that grew increasingly harsh. I'm not crying over the love I never received. I'm crying for myself. I weep for the 2 lifetimes I spent being deceived and tormented. Not every child in the orphanage gets to go to high school. I earned that opportunity through my hard work. Later, when the town's high school closed, everyone was left floundering like headless flies. It was only because of my excellent grades that I was able to continue my studies. All I want is to get into the college of my choice, find a suitable job, and live an ordinary life. But because of someone else's arrogance, I was forced to die a tragic death, filled with resentment. In my past life, just when I was longing for classmates, friends, and a warm, cozy school life, I was bullied. In this life, to avoid repeating the same mistakes, I've been chatting and laughing with the very people who used to bully me. Why am I always the one paying for their mistakes? How innocent the first am. My emotions were clearly spiraling out of control, so I stopped holding back and burst into tears. He didn't see the figure standing silently outside. The ward door swung open, and Jiang burst in. When she saw my tears, her expression twisted in an instant. Are you crying? What are you crying about? She demanded. Chinju, you beat Miss Hold, you be smiling. How dare you cry? Only then did I notice how disheveled she looked, her clothes in disarray. Jiang stood at the foot of the bed, staring at me intently with a look that seemed to say she wanted to devour me. She said she was the one who should be crying. All these years, I've been pretending to be you just to win the Jiang family's favor. Do you have any idea how exhausting that's been for me? Your diary describes your life so clearly. How is that even possible? You love sweets, so I have to eat them too. Every time I finish one, I feel so sick I want to throw up. And I still have to watch my weight so I don't gain any. You have no idea how hard it is for me. Her words left me speechless. Why on earth would I want to understand the hardships of a thief? Jiang, a timid yet malicious thief. She thought my arrival was a sign that her miserable life was about to begin. Because she felt guilty. She was afraid the truth would come out and that she would lose everything. She chose to destroy me without mercy. And when the truth came out, he turned around and confronted me. So what do you want to do? I felt strangely calm. Jiang glared at me. Give me back everyone and everything. A completely unsurprising answer. What did she want? The status of the eldest daughter of the Jiang family and a life free from financial worries. And then there's the love of others. For example, Gu Xinzhou. For example, Pei Si. For example, Jiang Yanji. It's not that I didn't realize that Gu Xinzhou had feelings for me in his past life. But after I misinterpreted his intentions, he became angry and humiliated me out of pride. Pei Si saw me as a source of variety in his dull life. He wanted to keep me around so he could toy with me. And after his rebirth, that obsession only grew stronger. Jiang Yan's inexplicable closeness between us stemmed from a bond of blood. Once he learned who I was, he classified me as someone with ulterior motives. These 3 things, which she would love to have, happen to be the very things I find utterly annoying. So I nodded. A shadow flickered outside the door, but Jiang didn't notice. As long as you don't show up, as long as you don't exist, everything will go back to the way it was before. As she spoke, she moved closer to me. I snorted silently. You idiot. Go ahead. Cut off all your escape routes. Chaos and noise reigned all around. and a crowd of people poured in through the doorway. Some grabbed Jiang, while others, still shaken by fear, shielded me. "Let me go. Let go." I heard Jiang crying out, "Mom and Dad, Big Brother, save me, don't leave me behind." Snap. Jiang Yanji lowered his hand. His voice cold and sharp. "Get lost. I'm not your brother. No. Please don't. Mom and Dad. I was wrong. I don't want to go. Mom. Don't call us that." Jiang's father, seething with anger, read out the final verdict. "As of today, we are no longer related. Take her away." Jiang's mother held me in her arms, and tears streamed down her face like a light, scattered shower. She comforted me, saying, "Xiaozhu, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I closed my eyes. The play has finally come to an end, after winter ended. I was discharged from the hospital. The Jiang family had prepared the coziest room for me, and everyone was very considerate. They threw a birthday party and publicly announced my identity. Jiang Yanji put all his work aside and played Happy Birthday nonstop. But I haven't celebrated my birthday in a long time. After Jiang left the police station, she never returned to the Jiang family home, due to various factors. The Jiang family could only sever ties with her after she came of age, so they had no choice but to send her to a boarding school. When I got to school, I almost didn't recognize her. She became quiet and withdrawn, and was ignored and ostracized by others. In contrast, I was treated with warm concern. "Xiaozhu, are you going to change your name in the future? Xiaozhu, how's your injury? Are you feeling better?" Every sentence is inconsequential, but the good news is, I can finally focus without any distractions and study hard. I achieved the result I wanted and was admitted to the university of my choice. Congratulations. Gu Xinzhou spoke to me at the top of the stairs, but I walked past without looking his way. He had told me earlier that he wanted to apply to the same college as me, but his scores weren't high enough, so he had no choice but to come here to wait for me. Maybe I'm still clinging to a hope I shouldn't have. But I don't even want to say goodbye to him. We've never been together, why go to all that trouble? Gu Xinzhou choked up behind me. "I won't give up." "Oh, that's none of my business." Naturally, someone helped him get that idea out of his head. Pei Si sneered sarcastically, saying that Gu Xinzhou was being fanciful. "You so-called top student, you'd better worry about what school you'll get into with those grades." Pei Si, when dealing with others. Gu Xinzhou's pride and arrogance grew exponentially. He glanced at the other person and fired off 3 dismissive remarks in quick succession. "Who do you think you are? Where did you come from? What's it to you?" It takes only a moment for the gunpowder to ignite. Jiang Yanji was waiting for me downstairs and said he was going to take me home. "Xiaozhu, if you find this a hassle, I'll take care of them for you." The Jiang family has even more impressive connections, so they speak with confidence, but young people are full of vigor and spirit, and none of them are willing to back down. I walked past those 3 nutcases without looking back. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang were overjoyed when they saw my acceptance letter. Everyone is scrambling to make plans for Methy want to buy an apartment near the university. "Xiaozhu, which one do you like?" "I don't like any of them. I want a future of independence and freedom. I don't need their handouts." Jiang is absolutely right when she says, "I can get by just fine on my own." As the summer gradually faded away, the sound of cicadas faded with it, and the feeling of restlessness finally dissipated. My excellent college entrance exam scores gave me the freedom to choose. Not only did I get into the university of my dreams, but I also got accepted into the niche major I'd always wanted to study. There were fewer than 20 people in the entire group. I pushed open the office door, and the young professor was surrounded by all the senior students from his department. Just as I was feeling a little surprised, he suddenly spoke, calling my name. "The people here are strangers, yet they're friendly. No one is wary of me anymore. What's past is past." With a bright smile, I introduced myself. "Hello, everyone. I'm Xinzhu, a freshman. New students,